Building a family doesn't look the same for everyone. Different roads for different parents, and we all get there uniquely. I didn't know about the various types of assisted reproductive options that exist for those of us struggling to build our families. I'm grateful for the community that bonds together on suffering loss, managing IVF, donor and carrier journeys, all of these roadblocks that we've had to deal with on the road to trying to realize our families. The mental health side of this very personal, emotional sector is not to be diminished. From the intended parents to the donors and the carriers, everyone involved needs to be supported and heard. We are known to be the worst club with the best members, and I am blessed to have found my tribe. You're listening to Mothers in Arms. I'm your host, Leslie Lopez. This is episode number 16 in conversation with Hollis Wilder. Creator of Battered Brilliance, Hollis Wilder shows how with a dash of struggle, a spoonful of hope goes a long way to finding the brilliance in your batter with her online guide to bipolar wellness. Hollis believes that through sharing stories, mindful meals, and meditation, those struggling with bipolar disease can embrace their life. She embraces it as solely one ingredient that creates her and believes that being honest about her diagnosis with others is crucial. Hollis shares the steps she and her husband took to adopt their 2 children while she was 1 in 5 people suffering from a mental illness. Without further ado, let's get into it. Welcome, Hollis. I am so blessed to have you take the time to talk to us today, just back from your amazing Fiji trip. My goodness. Thank you.
My pleasure. I'm so happy to be here.
I love that I got to know you through our mutual love of yoga and wellness and taking care of our bodies daily. And tell us a little bit about Battered Brilliance.
Well, Battered Brilliance is about the mixture that makes you. We all have a mixture, right? And because I'm a chef, I thought it would be kind of fun to talk about the mixture that makes us and the pot that we stir throughout our lives that informs who we are, right? And that if we could break down what those ingredients are in our life, we could find brilliance. So for me, I identify having had and risen from many of the lessons in my life, which in another time in my life would have been detrimental. But now I see them as my brilliance because I get to offer the opportunity to serve other people and help them find theirs. So Battered Brilliance it's all about the mixture that makes you, right? So it's really came out of my diagnosis with bipolar 15 years ago. And I wanted to get over the shame and judgment about that. And I was blaming society for it, which kept me very small and isolated. After having a very big life with lots of success, I'm an author, I've been on television, I got the diagnosis. And so I played it small because there's a lot of bad rap for bipolar. And
Agreed.
when I decided to tell the truth about my diagnosis, not just to the small handfuls of people that I knew, but to everybody and start talking about it, I did it with it was a passion driven mission to be of service to other people who don't have the ability yet to find their voice and to talk into how amazing it is that they have the diagnosis. That took me a while to get there. But this is about let's celebrate instead of demonize it. And I have a lot of creative ways to do that. And of course, it's my experience, strength, and hope. Everyone will take what they like from it. And some of the things will resonate. But I'm doing it as a love letter, firstly, to myself, and then to the rest of the world of the people who have bipolar or love someone with bipolar or are just curious about it.
You're so right. It has a bad rap, right? Like we hear that word and we're like, it's a bad word. You're telling somebody, you're shaming someone, but it's a diagnosis, right? We use that word the way like it's just not okay the way we throw that around. I remember I had an ex-boyfriend. Whenever we'd get into like an argument, one of the things, oh, you're bipolar, gets thrown at you, because we're like Well, how did it even like get there? And I'm sorry to, can I ask you, just like, what does it make you feel like when you hear people misusing the word?
Well, it used to keep me small and play small. I went on a date with somebody, and this was years ago. And he said, "Oh my gosh, I broke up with my girlfriend recently because she was bipolar, and she was nuts." Well, back then, there was no way I would have told somebody that I had the diagnosis because I wanted the love and affection. I wanted desperately to get my emotional needs met through another person, right? But that's not who I am today. Today, first of all, if I and when I do date, I'm in the process of doing that now with my girlfriend's guide to bipolar dating, working on that. So if that same scenario had come up now, it wouldn't because I would be upfront right away with the person before I even went on a date with them. I would have a conversation. And then the other thing is that, golly, when somebody on the street says something, and I did actually recently interview some people on the street, and I let them play out. There's a lot of ignorance around it, and mostly it gets a bad rap because of the people who don't stay on their medication.
Yeah. We spoke about you talking or championing the idea to other individuals who are bipolar in saying it's never too late to pick yourself up, dust yourself off. If you haven't been taking care of yourself, it's never too late to start. You know, maybe for whatever reason, people weren't taking the medication financially, emotional, et cetera, right? We don't know, but it's never too late to turn around and say, it's time to take care of me at any age. You spoke a lot about how this influenced you in your career.
Absolutely. The thing is very, very true. We have a lot of limiting beliefs, and we think, oh, it's ageism. It's, I'll never have that relationship. I don't make enough money. My time is over. It's too late for me. Like all these excuses, right? And they're all just like stories that we've made up that keep us, that block us, that keep us in fear, keep us small, keep us in victimization, so that we don't have to do the research to figure out what it is. First of all, what do you really want to do with your life? And the research is really like doodle it, write it out, get crayons out, make it fun. Like, where do you want to live? Where do you want to travel? Who do you want to be with? What do you want to wear? Like all of that stuff. Think outside of the box. Don't be in the normalized like conformity of what's going on. So, yes, it's about pull up your bootstraps and let's look at a way to create a mastermind in your life rather than this is my experience and there's no hope for me. Let's find what's the experience, what is your strength out of this experience, and how can we offer you hope to launch from that place so that you can find your brilliance.
These words are for anybody. I mean, I'm hearing these words for me. Like, yes, doodling my goals, like, where do I want to be in life? Like, absolutely. Like, it's so important to do it and do it again. Like, no matter where you are in life and your career, like, it's always important to be like, what else do I want? What's my next chapter look like? What is the chapter after that? We're like, I love that, Hollis. That's very cool that, I really feel like you resonate those words, that mantra.
Well, it's childlike curiosity, right? I mean, look at little kids and what they do. They just do it because they're filled with joy. They are purpose driven. They want to have fun. They interpret everything through a very clear vision. There's no filter. They haven't been imprinted by other people, places, things, and situations, other people's opinions, shame, and judgment. So they're just playing and having a great time. I'm
It's so
doing
true.
play and have a great time. Throw a
Yeah.
lot of spaghetti at the wall. And then instead of letting it all just like leave it there and say, well, spaghetti, you're supposed to work for me now. Instead of that, take each one and really look at the how and the why and the what and the where. And how do I make this happen? That's the education. Like, that's the part that's like, it's exciting. Do the research, educate yourself, find out more. I mean, our brains really need that I mean, they always need it, but as we age, people tend to be like, okay, well, I'm going to let myself go now. I don't need to be embodying, this vessel that I was born into. I don't have to pay attention to it, right? All of that. Like, rejoice. This is the only you there's ever going to be. It's your job to make yourself into the very best one of you.
I like that. Throw the spaghetti at the wall. Sometimes I'm like, I don't want to throw the spaghetti on the wall. Like, it's messy. Like, I don't want to, and like, that's the point, right? Like, get yes, the cleaning, like, all of those steps are important. That's where the work is done, right? But like, it's funny with my daughter. Like, I remember that when I was showing her how to like eat those early foods on, like, I was scared to give her certain foods because they were messy, or I don't want to play certain arts and crafts because it's like what a drag to clean up. But like, that's awful. I'm an awful mom.
No, no, not at all. We're
That's
all
like,
shitty moms. There's a book, Shitty Mom.
but that's where magic happens, right? Like, that's when you let things go.
Exactly. And that's when you get out of the time. Like, it has to be a certain time. It's supposed to look a certain way. Oh no, let me help you draw that square. That's not the right way. Like, let go of all that stuff. So there's a lot of things like take a risk. It's either risk or rust, right?
That's right. I like that. Risk or rust.
Now, going back to the conversation about when I was little and I thought I would never have children because I was small. Also thought that I would die in childbirth. So it makes perfect sense why. And I also didn't want to have children. You either get pregnant or you don't. And that's when you find out. You should know this earlier, but this is when you find out if you're having difficulties that you only come into the earth with a certain amount of eggs in your basket. And so when I went to get pregnant, I couldn't get pregnant. So I was like, oh, that's interesting because that's the way I always thought since I was a little girl. So, the process of having the babies, I wasn't able to have the babies. So I tried a couple rounds of IVF and that didn't work. And it was too much of a heartbreak for me to think that my body was rejecting my husband, our sperm and egg. So I was just, that was too much for me. And so, when I was little, I always thought, oh, it'd be so great to adopt. So that's exactly what happened. And it took the process of laboring for the adoption was a little over 2 years. And I went through many, many pregnant ladies, well intended. And the fit just wasn't right. And not because of me, but because they were able to, I got to get real with them and find out what was really going on in their lives. And that's when I found out that, one woman had mold, another one, her partner was incarcerated and she forged his signature so we could get the baby, like a lot of things. It's really important to make sure that you are legally backed up when you do that.
Yes, I was going to say, did you ask someone for a referral to an agency, or how did you come about finding the organization that you adopted from?
Well, I used David Radis. He's still in business. He's the top adoption attorney in the US for domestic adoptions. And he has a process that he's been doing for, my gosh, probably over 30 years. And it was an incredible process. And so, I was in a position where I could afford to do that. It was not inexpensive, but it's worth it when you're talking about having a family.
Yeah. I mean, can I ask you, Hollis, like, including the lawyer, like, it's soup to nuts, what
Yeah.
was that first adoption? What was that
Yeah.
cost?
Well, I have to tell you that it's illegal to buy a child. You cannot buy a baby.
You cannot buy a baby. Right. No, you're going to adopt a child.
So yes, the attorney. Now this was my daughter is now almost 22, and my son is 20. So this was a while ago. Now
Right.
prices change.
Right. Right.
But the initial fee to sign the document that I wanted to start with him was 6,000, and then it ended up being, I would say, approximately 25,000. And that includes, he's an attorney, so that includes all of the legalese. Then you have the social workers. That's a completely different fee. That I would say was approximately 12,000. Then you have, once you are aligned with a birth family, and it used to be adoptions were closed, and so it would be like the stories you've heard. There are babies available at the hospital. Your name is on a list. The hospital calls you and tells you that your baby boy has been born. Come and get your baby. It's not like that now. The adoptions are in many ways they are open, and the people who get to decide where the baby goes are not the people who adopt the baby. It's the people who are giving up their child for adoption. They hold all the cards, as it should be, and they have a whole process of vetting that they do, and the vetting is done through the attorney. So he finds the families that are in the position to give up their children for adoption, and then he vets them. And then once that vetting process is done, he then introduces you to them. And then you create a booklet. And the booklet is based on your spiritual life and the life that you want to create for the children. It doesn't talk about how much you make. You don't show a picture of your rings. You don't show a picture of your lifestyle. You show a picture of what you do in the world. Like, I like to go on walks. I have a very strong relationship with a power greater than myself. These are my family members. This is what we do. And then this is the life that we want to provide for our child. And you put it in pictures, and they get it. You make a booklet and they get it. And they get that from many people, and then they decide. And then they have some phone calls with you. And once you align and decide that you want to meet them in person, from that point forward, you're responsible for every financial thing that happens.
I don't mean to be ignorant about this, but clearly am. I did you when you were signing the contract, did you have to say, by the way, I have a condition? Like, did you have to disclose?
No, 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 you don't share that stuff.
You don't have to share that stuff.
Well, you don't, these people who give up their children for adoption, in my case, they felt like their entire life was meant for them to do that, to be giving their child to me. So hypothetically, let's say they do, and then they get pregnant. Their life is unmanageable, meaning they're loving and kind and wonderful people. They just can't care for another child. There's nothing wrong or bad about them at all. We're all the same. We're all children of God, whether you
Right.
want to believe that or what, but we are all the same across and through and through. And so then it takes a lot for my birth mother and father to say that they wanted to give up their child to my then husband and I. It's an honor and a privilege, because then what ends up happening is you are the custodian of this baby.
How did you feel when you brought the baby home for the first time, like never having that sort of spirit in the walls, and then suddenly here is this angel? Like, what did it feel like?
I mean, it was, of course, like, it was absolutely, I mean, we were in the room when our daughter Georgia was born. We cut the cord. So we were there, and the birth mother and father have up to 72 hours after the baby is born to change their mind. So the
Oh,
mother and the
really?
child stay. You cannot legally purchase a baby.
Is that in California, or is that it'd be interesting. Maybe every state is
It's,
different.
I don't
Okay,
know.
but that was California.
Yeah.
Okay.
So all of the time that you're with the family, which was, 9 months, you do that as a service to them and to this unborn child, with no guarantee that you're going to get the baby. That's what you
Yeah,
do. It's in
right.
service of them. And so they can change their mind. And that didn't happen for us, but I have friends that it happened to.
They just went back on the wait, or you just go back and try and find another
Right. I mean, their heart is broken. This baby that they had been waiting for is not their baby.
nested. Yeah.
And sometimes what happens is that the woman that takes care of them in the hospital, the nurse, will say, my sister cannot have babies. And they give her the story of the sister. And it would be really amazing if you gave her the baby.
What?
Mhm.
The nurses would take really?
Anybody can have a conversation. The mom is vulnerable in the hospital. They can say whatever they want. It's a very interesting way that things come about.
Wow. Yeah, I never even thought about that side of things. Did you ever have a conversation with your own children about your upbringing
Oh,
and
for sure. From pre-verbal. This is our chosen family. We chose you. You chose us before you arrived. You knew exactly who you wanted your parents to be. And Bob and Dawn were a gift and gave us this opportunity to create this extended family. And you are incredibly loved. They were introduced to them a couple times when they were old enough to have conversations, and they have open communication. If they wanted to call, we know where everybody is. We can all get on the phone together. The plan at some point is to go to one of their family reunions where the
oh,
family is and meet everybody.
that would be amazing.
Yeah,
Wow. That hasn't happened yet where
not
your children have met them.
well. The children met them when they were little, and then they also met them when they were 8 and 9. And if they
Okay.
wanted to pick up the phone, they could call them.
Right, right. Wow.
And when they
Friends.
decide that they want to go and meet them as adults and see their extended family, they can do that too.
On that note, that wraps us up for today. Tune in to the next episode for part 2 of our interview with Hollis. Thank you for tuning in. You can check out more of these and similar stories on YouTube, Spotify, Instagram, and TikTok at mothersandarms.pod. If you take a few seconds, please, to like and rate the episode on whatever platform you're listening on, thank you. It goes a long way to getting the word out on this little podcast. Until next time, friends.